Action. Animation. Animation has become one of the world's most popular types of media. From entertainment to advertising and education, you see it almost everywhere. What is animation? 2D animation is a series of individual images or drawings played in rapid succession to create the illusion of image. 3D animation are objects rendered with the help of a computer and special software. However, animation wasn't always this way. In 1906, the first entirely animated film was made, Humorous Phases of Funny Faces, by J. Stuart Blackton. The film features a cartoonist drawing faces that come to life. Moving pictures had been around already for quite a while, but this was the very first animated film ever. Not long after, in 1908, Emile Cole made the very first animated cartoon, Phantasmagoria. The film was made by placing drawings on an illuminated glass plate. The drawings were drawn in such a way that they created the illusion that they were drawn on chalkboard. This early type of animation was very similar to celluloid or cell drawing, or cell animation, which would come to be invented by Earl Hurd and patented by him in 1914. This process made it easier to animate. Cell animation works by layering cell paper on top of each other to make a scene. The moving parts are drawn on paper, then traced onto sheets of cell, then painted from behind. Finally, the cell sheets are layered and shot with a camera. Most animations were made at 12 frames per second. That's 12 drawings every second. Animated films made in the 1910s include Gertie the Dinosaur in 1914, How a Mosquito Operates in 1912, two Crazy Cat and Ignatz Mouse films in 1916, Little Nemo in 1911, The Sinking of the Lusitania in 1918, and the first Felix the Cat film in 1919. Then, something remarkable happened in 1926. Sound. A new invention called the Vitaphone made it possible for movies to have sound. In 1928, the first animation to use sound was made, Steamboat Willie by Walt Disney Studios. Then things really started to take off for the animation industry. 1930 marked the beginning of the golden age of American animation. In 1930, Warner Brother Cartoons is found, and in 1937, Walt Disney releases the very first hand-drawn animated feature film, Snow White. During this time, cell animation was the most popular way of animating. 1.5 million cells were used to help animate to make Snow White. Other animated films in the 1930s include The Old Mill in 1937, Gulliver's Travels in 1939, Flowers and Trees in 1932, and Africa, 1930. Television started to catch on in the 1950s, and animation soon started airing on TV, with the Flintstones being the very first animated series on TV. Yogi the Bear started airing in 1961, and the Pink Fink releases around 1964. And also in 1964, Fritz the Cat releases, becoming the first X-rated animated film. Then, in the 1970s, animation evolved once again. Computers were no longer as large as a room and could be used at home. This gave way to computer-generated imagery. Computer graphics had been around for quite a while. The very first computer graphic image was created in 1950 by Ben Leposki with an oscilloscope. Around 1967, the scanline rendering algorithm, an algorithm that helps determine how much of a surface is visible, was invented by Jack Bresson. Ray tracing, developed around 1968, helps simulate light and the way it interacts with virtual objects. Radiosity is light-based physics and was developed in 1984. The rendering of fur was developed in 1989. Future World, released in 1976. This was the very first movie to use 3D computer graphics. Then, in 1984, the very first fully 3D CGI animated film was released, The Adventures of Andre and Wally B, by the Graphics Group. Since then, animation has improved exponentially. With 2D animation, we have digital pen and ink, so we don't use physical resources to make all the individual drawings and cells. And with 3D animation, we have things such as face tracking and body tracking to help us animate. Who knows what other kinds of improvements will be made in the future? Well, that's it for today, kids. Join me next week when we discuss anime and its correlation to Japan's declining birth rate.